Rob Saig es CEO del grupo de compañías XXIII. Como fundador de XXIII, Robert ha estado involucrado en el desarrollo de muchos de los nuevos procesos de negocios y ha encabezado varios avances en la integración de la tecnología en la agricultura, incluyendo el desarrollo de la solución de AgriData. Y por otra parte, Javier Amuchastegui, quien actuará como moderador, es ingeniero agrónomo egresado de la Universidad Católica de Córdoba, es socio fundador y director de Tecnocampo, sociedad anónima, empresa dedicada a la producción de granos, venta de insumos, acopio, riego y agricultura de precisión. Es socio de Aapresid desde el año 1992, fue fundador y presidente de la Regional Montecristo y también miembro de la comisión directiva. Actualmente es representante de Aapresid en la Mesa de Sanidad Vegetal de la provincia de Córdoba y en la comunidad agroalimentaria de la misma provincia. Queda entonces con ustedes Javier Amuchastegui y Rob Saig en esta conferencia plenaria. ¿Será la agricultura capaz de alimentar 9 billones de personas? Adelante, por favor.
Muchas gracias. Buenos días. Me llamo Roberto. And happy Agronomist Day to you all. I would like to speak in Spanish, but I can't. I can speak in Ukrainian and a little bit of Russian, but I'll stick with English. When I ask agronomists if we can feed 9 billion people, the answer is yes. My concern is not can we, but will we be allowed to feed 9 billion people? My concern is agriculture losing significant science to nonsense or non-science. And that is where we find ourselves today. My talk is about one technology, but it easily could be about hormones and utilization of antibiotics in beef production or cattle production. It could be about agrochemicals, but today my talk is it going to be no GMO or no GMO? Is it going to be about understanding or just no? You see, the problem is most people live in a world of scarcity. They're scared. They don't think that there's enough. We in agriculture know that by using technology, such as you've done in Argentina, and increasing your no-till practices, this is the first generation of farmers that will leave more soil than when they came into their farming career. We live in a world of abundance, and that's my belief, is that agriculture is a world of abundance if we're allowed to use science and technology. The year I was born, 1960, is on the screen. Underneath the line, people died at the age of 50. The red dot is China, the blue dot is India. These people made less than $4,000 per year. These are the people that lived above 70 years of age and made more than $10,000. This was the year I was born. Today, almost everybody on the planet lives longer than 50 years of age. Most people are making more than $4,000. A lot of people live longer than 70 years of age. China and India, the red and blue dots, have significantly moved upwards. People are more affluent, and we had to increase the access on the chart because people are now living to 85 and beyond. If you're a young person in the crowd, it's highly likely that you'll live to 100 and 120 right now. The problem is most people don't think. They're floating down a river drinking cervezas. We have to think about the technology, and we have to think about the macro technological trends that are facing society today. This is our world. This is a picture showing internet traffic around the world. We live in a world today of exponential growth of information. Exabytes of data are being accumulated every day. Our ability to sequence genomes at petabytes of data per day is phenomenal. When I grew up, ideas had sex. I had an idea, I would share it with my friend. Ideas, we come up with a new idea. Today, ideas have orgies. You have an idea in South America, it's made in China and sold in India sometimes in the same day. It's amazing the world we live in. Right now, if you consider the power of the computer, it's calculating, a $1,000 computer is calculating at about 10 to the 9th or 10 to the 10th calculations per second. It's estimated by 2023 or 2025, a $1,000 laptop will be calculating at the same speed as the human brain. And then by 2050, $1,000 laptop will be calculating at the same speed as the entire human race on the planet. And you don't want to change. We are going to change. We are going to change at an accelerated rate, and so is agriculture. The problem with agriculture is most people have a romanticized view of agriculture. I'm standing before you, and you know that this is true. Agriculture is not 1960 anymore. There is a need for technology. This is what happened on our farm when I was growing up, and then I got kicked by my dad. This is now. This technology is, this picture is a picture of Terry. He is a 31-year-old farmer. He farms 4,000 hectares. It's September in Canada in the middle of harvest. I have asked Terry to come to a meeting with me, and he's at the meeting in the middle of harvest, and we're on the lake drinking beer, watching his wife combine on his iPhone. It's a perfect world. That's technology today. So last year, I wrote a book called The Agricultural Manifesto. It's a short book. It's all about the trends that will shape agriculture in the next decade. 9 of the trends are positive. There is one that is negative. Number 1, the non-science movement, and that's what I want to talk about today. And again, my question to you in this room is, will agriculture lose significant science to non-science? I believe the non-science movement is the greatest threat to global food security today. I did a TEDx talk. It's available if you search my name on TEDx. And my TEDx talk is entitled, Will Agriculture Be Allowed to Feed 9 Billion People? I have been blessed to work all around the planet in agriculture. I took this picture of a woman and her child in Lodwar, Kenya, one of the poorest areas I have ever visited. She is trying to feed her family every day, and in her hand is a cell phone. Who in the audience would walk up and rip the cell phone out of her hand? Who would take that technology away from her? I don't think anybody would. And yet there are people all over that want to rip the technology out of agriculture's hands that we have to feed the people of the world. This picture is a metaphor for my talk. And will agriculture be allowed to feed 9 billion people? Meet some people. The farmer on the far left, his name is Robert, near Gulu, Uganda. Eric is the next one. He is a farmer near Kericho, Kenya. Samuel is the farmer near Kampala, Uganda. And then, of course, the famous picture of a beautiful girl who is now blind. These people all have something in common, and that is they could be helped today with a technology, a genetic engineered technology that's being withheld from them, such as golden rice, which could prevent the blindness of 250,000 children per year, and it is being withheld from them since 2002. Cassava could be cured, and the disease that attacks cassava could be cured. Bananas could be helped in terms of fighting bacterial wilt. And there is a crisis in Kenya right now with respect to mosaic viruses attacking the maize in Kenya. But you say, it's not my problem. I don't know those people. I don't know those crops that well. But do you know orange juice? Because in America today, our orange crop is going to be 20% less than it was the year before, was less the year before that, because of citrus greening virus. Citrus greening virus is a disease that's decimating the Florida and California now citrus groves, and there is no cure. We will need agriculture technology, including genetic engineering, if we're going to maintain global food security. Fanaticism around the world is creating fear to generate memberships, to drive money so they can generate more fear, to generate more money, to generate more fanaticism, and it's causing global suffering. The Economist magazine said that in 2013, the number of children under the age of 5 who died from malnutrition was 3.1 million children. 3.1 million children. 3.1 million children under the age of 5 who died that year. The number of children who have died from GMO technology ever is 0. And fanatics will get out there and say that GMO technology is harming people. I say to them, produce the name of one person. Name me one person who definitively has been harmed with GMO technology, because you'll make history. That would be the first person. It seems the less money we spend on food, the more time we have to complain about how it was grown. Food paranoia is a first world problem. It's because we live in a society that is affluent, we have abundant and cheap food. It's like farmers are being criticized for growing cheap food. People feed themselves and then criticize how you grow the food that they just ate. If you go to Google and put in GMO images, this is what you get. This is the first page. Now, I don't know what's wrong with these fruits and vegetables. Maybe they have diabetes. Because if you know somebody who is diabetic and they're taking insulin with injections, they are living because of GMO technology. People are angry about GMO technology. They are protesting. Maybe they're protesting against hemophiliacs. Because if you know a hemophiliac, that person also is being kept alive with GMO technology. No, these people are angry. They're protesting. They're teaching their children to protest against a company called Monsanto. Oh, evil company. Terrible. Monsanto's a big company. In 2013, their revenues were $14.8 billion. Monsanto is a big company. But in North America, we have a company called Whole Foods. It's a grocery chain, and Whole Foods campaigns against GMO technology. Farmers represent 1% of the population. Monsanto talks to 1% of the population. Monsanto has 66,000 followers on Twitter. Whole Foods has 4 million followers on Twitter. Whole Foods preaches an anti-GMO message. The agricultural sector is surprisingly silent on this issue. And I don't think we should let Monsanto or any other company off the hook. We have done a terrible job at communicating to the public. And when I give this speech, they're accusing me of taking money. And when I look at this picture and who's teaching the children to protest, I'm wondering who's paying who. What's the difference between these peppers? 30 meters in a grocery store, not 30 meters, 10 meters in a grocery store. The difference in these peppers is $250,000. Because if you feed your family the organic basket on the right-hand side, by the time your kids leave for high school, you'll have spent $250,000 more on food. My research shows that the increase in organic food consumption, the pricing, is 30 to 300% more money. And just because someone can spend 30 to 300% more to buy their food, does that give them the right to criticize those who can't afford to spend that much money? Apparently it does. The millionaire fashion designer from UK, Vivienne Westwood, on the day she presented a petition to the UK Parliament, it was an anti-GMO position, she was asked, what are poor people supposed to do who can't afford to feed organic food to their families? She said they should eat less, quote unquote. The anti-science movement today is the greatest threat to global food security. The voices of science are being drowned out by the voices of fear and paranoia. And we just came out of an area where we were filming the stories from Barrio Isutengo and Malvina Argentinas and Monte Mays. And I can tell you the stories that we're getting in North America are far from the truth we heard in Argentina. First world activism and elitism is harming the poorest people on the planet, like Robert and Eric and Samuel and that girl who was blind. We're going to need all the science if we're going to feed 9, 11 billion people. And we should celebrate agriculture. We should celebrate the fact that people can buy organic if they want to. And there's a lot that we can learn from agriculture through organic practices, and I'm not upset about that. We can teach people to grow their own food or buy food from locally produced production farmers, and we should celebrate that. We should celebrate fertilizer, because without fertilizer, we wouldn't be able to have the protein in your body. It's estimated that 50% of the protein in every human being on the planet Earth owes itself to fertilizer. We should celebrate fertilizer. We should celebrate pesticides. If you took all the pesticides away from farmers today, it's estimated that production would drop 42% almost overnight. Our pesticides today are more specific, they are more targeted, at lower dosage rates than ever before. Are they perfect? Probably not. We still have work to do, but we are a long way from where we were in the 70s and in the 80s. We should celebrate genetic engineering and understand that it is not an ingredient, it is a process. It's a breeding process. It's a technology that's available because of the power of computing, because of the power of data management, and because of brilliant scientists that are working on these technologies all around the world. I have a question for you. Could the future of food be organic? I got to get all these up. Could the future of food be genetically modified organic food? Think about that. Is there a farmer in the audience today who wakes up in the morning and is excited about spraying on another $30 a hectare of pesticide? Put up your hand. Who's excited about doing it? Nobody. When did the organic movement become the anti-GMO movement? And why? It has to do with big money. And there is big money behind this. These are some of my favorites. Organic sugar. It's sugar. Doesn't matter where it came from. It's the molecular structure is sugar. How about organic water? And a German court just upheld the right for somebody to sell organic water. How about this one? Non-GMO rock salt for your table. For the women, you've got cosmetics that are non-GMO, non-gluten, non-GMO, gluten-free, organic cosmetics. Because when I kiss my girlfriend, I don't want gluten. And then you have these crops that are non-GMO crops, but perfect. They got to be loaded with pesticides if they're that clean. The labels that are being spun, you have natural, you have organic, you have GMO. What does it all mean? I took this picture in a Whole Foods store in New York City. These are a bag of chips. These chips are organic, gluten-free, non-GMO, kosher, non-baked, non-fried, vegan. And these chips are only $7.99 US for 85 grams. There's somebody making a lot of money from fear. But the consumer is well educated. She's on the internet. He's on the internet. And they want to buy organic to avoid chemicals. Because everybody knows organic production is raised without pesticides or fertilizers. Let's go back to Kenya. This is a field of chrysanthemums. What they do with chrysanthemums is they harvest it to produce an organic pesticide called pyrethrin. You heard my words. This is a list of pesticides and substances. These pesticides that are organic are in green. This is pyrethrin. Pyrethrin is an insecticide that organic farmers spray on their crop. It's the same thing as pyrethroid. It's an organic pesticide. This is, hang on, got to go back. This is Bacillus thuringiensis. This is BT, the same thing that's in your Intacta, or the same thing that's in your corn. This is BT. It's an organic pesticide. They spray Bacillus thuringiensis on organic food production. We've used it to fight off insects, so we don't have to use insecticides. There's glyphosate at the top, right? That's glyphosate. And as you get down on the chart, the products get more dangerous, more toxic. So pyrethrin is far more dangerous than glyphosate is. Last night I heard a bunch of commotion on the streets. Apparently a soccer match was on, football, and a team called River Plata won the soccer match. I bet you there was a bunch of people drinking too much last night. That's only slightly safer than glyphosate. They got up this morning and they popped an aspirin. Then they had a smoke. Then they had a coffee. Then they put salt on their eggs. All of that is more toxic than glyphosate. I want to buy organic because I don't want to have anything that's genetically modified. All our food is genetically modified. Carrots used to be white or purple in color. Through a freak of nature, carrots turned orange, and they happened to be discovered in Holland, and orange is the favorite color of the Dutch royal family. And carrots took off in terms of their supply of beta-carotene, and it's a wonderful food. You see, conventional breeding, cross-pollination or hybridization takes years to achieve the beneficial trait. Thousands of genes are affected. But when you do crossbreeding, there's no long-term safety testing, there's no long-term studies. Mutagenesis is to speed up that process. So we expose the seeds and subject them to carcinogenic chemicals, or we expose the seeds to gamma radiation. And that speeds up the mutations to get the beneficial trait that we're looking for. There's no telling how many genes are affected. There's no long-term safety tests. There's no long-term studies. Over 2,400 organic crops owe their origin to mutagenesis, such as the ruby red grapefruit, because grapefruit was never red. It's red because it was mutated with gamma rays. And this is all okay for the activists. This is all okay for organic production. But when you start talking about GMO or RNAi technology that's switching off of specific genes inside the plant, targeted gene silencing, usually 1 to 2 genes are affected, extensive safety testing is required for approval, such as Arctic apples that were made in Canada. You cut the apple open and 2 genes have been switched off that reduce the polyphenolic oxidase enzyme, and you cut the apple and the apples will not turn brown. It's a wonderful technology. I ate them last year at his farm. It was great. Transgenic technology is where we take a donor and a host plant and we move genes specifically from a donor into a host plant. Site-specific insertion is amazing. Usually 1 to 4 genes are effective. Extensive safety has to be done to get this registered, such as innate potatoes. Innate potatoes in the United States are a brand new potato that when you cook them and they turn brown, they don't turn into acrylamides, which are a carcinogen. The potatoes don't bruise, saving hundreds of thousands of pounds of waste because of transgenic technology. Plant breeding has advanced more in the last 5 years than the previous 5,000 years because of the trends that I shared with you. Genetic engineering is an advancement of the breeding process. It's not an ingredient, it is a process. And when you look at the number of studies that have been done over the years, including a major study out of Italy that even chastises European governments for their own decisions to be anti-GMO, the overwhelming response is that GMOs are safe. What is the first and most successful GMO crop? I like asking people over dinner this question. They'll say, well, it must be corn or soybean. It was papaya in Hawaii. Dr. Gonzalez saved the papaya industry with him and his team of researchers because a virus was attacking the papaya, and he was the one with his team that figured out a GMO papaya that saved the industry. Activists now are digging up GMO papaya plants, destroying farmers' fields, saying they should go back to organic papaya production because miraculously the virus has just disappeared off the face of the planet. No. Another one that's really important is Bt brinjal or eggplant, particularly in Bangladesh. Insecticides are sprayed on by women and children, and the reduction in insecticide because of Bt brinjal is 71 to 90% reduction in exposure to insecticides. Yields are increasing 30 to 116%, and yet actively Greenpeace and organizations like that are on the ground saying that this technology is bad. You should expose your wife and expose your children to more insecticide use. That's nonsense. In Canada, a big crop is canola. We've had, since GMO, a 53% reduction in herbicide use, 55% reduction in farmer exposure to chemicals, 1.3 million kilogram reduction in active ingredient. Environmental impact is down 31%, 37%. Yields have gone from 21 to 41 bushels an acre. Soil erosion is down 66%. Greenhouse gases are reduced 26%, and the Canadian economy benefits by $19 billion. The numbers for Argentina are even bigger and more staggering, more positive. In Ontario, I have some statistics from the province of Ontario. This is, can I have it next click, please? This is showing you the land base in Ontario. Yields have gone up, land base is flat, yields have gone up 69%, and total herbicide load has come down dramatically, including the application of glyphosate. In the United States, my researchers did some digging for me through AgriTrend, and we found out that the amount of organophosphates and carbamates used in corn production has dropped dramatically, including turbophos, that has seen the most dramatic reduction ever. In the United States, the yield increase from corn has resulted in dramatic increase in productivity. World record this year was set with a DeKalb variety at 503 bushels per acre. In Europe, their increase is flatter and not as high, it's more linear. And here comes South America. South America is screaming in terms of increasing their yields of corn right now. Brazil corn yields have increased 400% with only 43% more land added. And yet, when you talk to the activists will claim that GMO is resulting in the destruction of the rainforests in Brazil. GMO is not destroying the rainforest, it's saving the rainforest, because in those tropical soils, if you have soil erosion, you have degradation, and you're going to be breaking more land to provide food for people. My question is, will agriculture lose significant science to nonsense? In the United States, a restaurant chain called Chipotle has been actively promoting and vilifying, making agriculture look evil. This is how they teach school children cattle are raised on farms. There are 14 million downloads of this game. This is how city kids think that we raise cattle on our farms. Chipotle just came out with an anti-GMO campaign, claiming that their food now is GMO-free. And the public is buying into this hysteria. You see, there's big money in selling fear. I just learned today that in the European Union, between 200 and 600 million euros annually is distributed amongst NGOs to spin fear. Memberships unless they sell fear. In North America, if you read a study that was done by the Academic Review on the organic industry, it will tell you that 2.5 billion US dollars is circulated amongst 300 different organizations to spread fear and create consumer discomfort. In your own country, the people in Malvinas Argentinas do not have a seed plant now. 800 jobs could have come to one of the poorest towns in Argentina. Certainly one of the poorest towns in Cordoba province. Where is agriculture? How can a group of activists hijack the whole conversation? I learned that there's 17 people living in town right now, combining with about 40 local people. Those 17 people are living in Malvinas Argentinas. Who's paying for them? Who's paying for them to live there? We spoke to 2 women from the town who were crying, saying, we want the jobs for our children. 40 people have hijacked the discussion for that whole town, and agriculture is sitting off to the sidelines. Where are our politicians? Where is agriculture in this discussion? And how did we let this happen? I flew down from Canada because I wanted to get to the bottom of this story, and what I have learned in my 4 or 5 days on the ground here is chilling. So my question is, what are we going to do about it? Well, maybe we should look in the mirror. When I looked in the mirror last year, I said, what am I going to do about it? I go to a marketing course in Phoenix, Arizona. There's a filmmaker making a movie. It's called Bought. It's an anti-pharmaceutical movie. Anti-vaccination, corruption, alleged corruption in the pharmaceutical industry, and we'll make it an anti-GMO movie at the same time. I said to him, Jeff, it's not fair what you're doing. You need to depict GMO as a balanced argument. He said, do you want to be on the movie? I said, yes. So May last year, I flew myself on my own dollar to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where the film crew was. I signed my life away, and for 2 hours, I was on camera defending GMO. And I made it 0 minutes in the movie. And then I got mad. My son, Nick Syke, is a filmmaker. He's 27 now. I called him on the phone. I said, Nick, let's make a movie. He said, okay. He said, what's the movie about? I said, it's going to be called No, we've got to change the conversation. I said, we have to change it from no GMO to no GMO. We have to change the conversation to understand it. And he goes, you want to make a movie called No GMO? I said, yeah. He says, well, it's going to take a lot of money. I said, how much? He said, about $1.2 million. Whew. So I throw it in $10,000. My company, AgriTrend, we throw it in $10,000. I called 6 friends. They threw in $10,000. We raised $80,000. We did a promo video. I stood up in front of 1,000 farmers last December, raised another $50,000. And then started doing farm meetings and raised $150,000 and $200,000 and another $150,000 and $15,000. Individual farmers stroke checks for $10,000. Today, we've raised over $800,000 for the movie from farmers. That's why I'm in Argentina. We have about another $400,000 to raise, but I'll share my idea with you. The idea is to create a movie called No GMO, an uplifting discussion about food, a positive movie about food. The business plan is to build a full-feature, global film festival quality documentary, including vignettes, small little films that can be used in schools and universities for discussion and education. The concept is to neutralize, to educate, and to advocate on behalf of agriculture. That's the concept. The business plan to raise $1.2 million and then to think about how to distribute. And it's all done with a foundation in Canada called the Farm and Food Care Foundation. So all of the money is into a charity, and then the charity provides the money for the movie. The tentative release for the movie will be the spring of 2016, with a preview of the movie in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada in December. The NoGMOThemovie.com, NoGMOThemovie.com is going to be filmed in Canada, the United States. We've been covering Argentina. We had a great interview from Brazil, Uruguay, Paraguay. We're going to be going to Uganda and Kenya this month, and then I want to get to Bangladesh, India, Indonesia. Maui is ground zero for GMO, the first successful crop. This is Dr. Gonzalez. That's my son filming Dr. Gonzalez. Dr. Gonzalez says he's pretty famous. Hundreds of people want to talk to him, and nobody ever listens. This is the problem and the challenge we have in agriculture. So, I want to invite you to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan in December, where it's winter. We really do have winter in Canada. This is not winter. In Saskatchewan, as Argentinian people, you need to experience minus 30 or minus 40. Please join me. So that's the concept. No GMO, the movie. That's the concept. That is what I've been working on while I'm down here. I want to thank so many people in the audience that have been on camera this week. And now I have a proposal for you. This happened this week while I was here. While I was filming, and we really started to get behind the scenes on the story of Barrio Istotango and the stories behind Monte Mays and Malvinas, Argentina, as we talked to toxicologists like Alicia over here, as we talked to people in agriculture, as we talked, the story in North America is that Argentina is poisoning its people. The story in North America is that agrochemicals are causing cancer in Barrio Istotango. We went to the director of cancer for the Cordoba province. He says there are health issues in Barrio Istotango. There are health issues because it was built with on top of garbage. There's PCBs in the area. There's lead contamination. There are issues in Barrio Istotango. But as for cancer, Barrio Istotango is lower than most of the other regions in Cordoba City except for one. Barrio Istotango has lower cancer rates or in line with cancer rates anywhere in Argentina. The story about agrochemicals causing cancer in Barrio Istotango is a lie. It's a lie, and we need to talk about that. If the director of cancer for Cordoba province says there is no statistical relevance, there's no statistical proof that cancer is being caused by agrochemicals, why are we not sharing that with people? And then they say, oh, well, he's just bought by Monsanto. That's bullshit. You talk to this guy, he's a real doctor. He cares about people, and he knows the issues in Barrio Istotango and Monte Mays. So over the course of the week, I have gathered amazing footage of Argentina. I've gathered amazing footage in the fields with people like Roberto Peretti and Jorge Ramagnoli and Hugo Guillo. And we were in the field with farmers looking at conservation tillage. The fact is that these farmers will leave more soil when they leave the earth than they had when they came to this earth. It's an amazing story. We spoke to researchers working in small companies like Bioceres about their work in GMO technology. And we just finished an interview with a doctor. Her name was Rachel Chan. And she says, we have another 3 billion people coming on the planet. She said there's only 3 ways to deal with this. One is stop having children. And last time I checked, young people still like to have, So I don't think we're going to stop having children. She said we can kill people. And she said we've had a good history as humans of doing that. And I just finished a book on Genghis Khan. We can invite him back. I don't think we want that. Or we can utilize technology to grow safe and abundant and environmentally sustainable food. She says You take GMO technology away, genetic engineering technology away from the hands of farmers, and you've got a problem. You've got to either stop producing people or kill people. That's your choices. So through the course of the last week, I've got all this amazing footage. I called Nick day before yesterday on the phone, and I said, Nick, I want to share this footage with the people of Argentina. So we have paid for all the filming. All the filming is going to be done. Even today, we did another 6 interviews today. All of the raw material is there. Diego and Bear have done a great job of filming and capturing the sound, and I'm going to give that footage to you. You guys can have it for free. But you guys have got to come up with a way of doing the production, which is going to cost some money. And then figure out a way to get our Argentinian movie on TV and on the internet, so you guys as farmers can use it in your discussion with people. That's my proposal to you. We want to make a movie called No GMO for North America. I want you to make a no GMO movie, a comprende GMO movie for Argentina. Can we do that together? That's what I want to do. Okay? Thank you.
Le agradecemos a Rob Sack por esta disertación y ahora queda un espacio para preguntas que va a moderar Javier Amuchastegui.
Impactante lo de Rob. Creo que a todos nos pasa lo mismo. Hay mucha información que la adquirió él directamente, tiene mucha experiencia, ha recorrido muchos lugares y tiene el coraje de salir a comunicarlo, que es algo que por ahí nos está faltando. Si estamos de acuerdo, podemos empezar con las preguntas. No sé quién está manejando para que aparezcan las... Yo tengo una que podríamos ir preguntando mientras van agregando otras. ¿Cuál sería el desafío para el agro, para nuestro sector en Argentina, acerca de comunicar sobre esto, sobre las nuevas tecnologías y los transgénicos?
The strategy that I want to share with you is a fourfold strategy. There are 4 pillars that I think are critical to communicating agriculture's message to the broader public. Number 1, we have to teach farmers how to talk about agriculture. So we need to have good communication to farmers, because sometimes you are defending GMO technology at your own kitchen table, and you need to be able to do that. So we need to have good strategies to give farmers the information and sound bites that you need to be able to talk about these issues. Secondly, we need to be able to provide adequate funding and adequate information for the schools. The message being taught in the schools right now is an anti-agriculture message, and we need to have agriculture provide the resources for the curriculum inside the schools. Thirdly, and this is where my movie fits in, thirdly, we need to have communication messages for the broader public. We need to speak out from agriculture to the broader public. And the 4th pillar is where Aapresid is. It's where all the companies are. It's where the government agencies in agriculture are. It's that whole pillar of science and technology and commercial, and that's where all the money is. Not if you're in government, maybe, but the rest of it is all about where the cash is. So this cash, we have to pull back the budgets of brochures and fancy advertising to sell stuff to farmers. We have to cut back some of that budget. And that budget needs to go to educating the consumer, and that budget's got to go to providing resources for schools, and that budget's got to go to help provide communication strategies for farmers. If we don't do that, we will lose this fight.
La pregunta se refiere a si las micotoxinas en los cereales son una preocupación importante para el logro de alimentar 9.000 millones de personas.
The research work that I have seen, without question, shows that when you use genetic engineering technology, the amount of mycotoxin in corn, for example, declines because you haven't got the insect biting the crop before you spray it off. And so you reduce the vectoring in of mycotoxin and aflatoxin. But the situation right now in Kenya is nothing short of a catastrophe. It's chilling what's going on in Kenya. I stood on the side of a hill, and as far as I could see, I saw maize fields that were not being harvested. They are absolutely being destroyed by mycotoxin and aflatoxin. These disease called lethal lethal necrosis. This disease is being vectored in by 3 different flies. You can spray insecticides all you want to. There is no cure. These farmers are going to need some help. So in short answer, yes, mycotoxin, aflatoxin is a huge issue, and I believe that GMO is one technology that we can use to help it.
No veo más preguntas, no sé si hay alguien que quiera formular alguna, por lo menos en pantalla no hay alguna otra. Yo tengo otra. ¿Por qué te involucraste en esto?
You know, that's an interesting question. My business, AgriTrend, provides consulting services to farmers. We have 250 people in our organization. We work with thousands of farmers across Canada, the United States. We have 30 PhDs and 60 masters, and we have a data system that also tracks everything that we do. We don't sell fertilizer, chemical, or seed. So I don't work for Monsanto or Bayer, Syngenta, or the big companies. We don't buy grain, so I don't work for Cargill or Bunge or any of the big grain companies. And I work directly with farmers. Our company makes its money from the pockets of farmers, which is a very difficult place to get money. And I felt that I was absolutely in the right place to be able to do this. And you could call it a calling, but I was so upset and so angry. I've been very involved with social media, and I see the lies and the distortions of truth, and I just got so angry, and I'm fighting these guys like one at a time, trying to answer questions, and I said, we got to make a movie. So I'm very fortunate. My company is managed by wonderful people. My company runs, and we do great work with farmers all across North America, right down to Texas and Iowa and all throughout Canada. And I'm in a position where I can do this as an entrepreneur. People can say that I'm getting money from the big companies, and I'm saying, well, show me my checks, because I'd like to see them. So I'm in the right place at the right time, and if you haven't guessed by now, I have a bit of I can talk.
Acá en Argentina y en Córdoba en particular, que es la zona donde trabajamos, acuñamos una frase que es de Alicia Cavallo, que estuviste entrevistándola los otros días, que dice: cambiemos temor por conocimiento. Creo que es la consigna que la tenemos, creo que coincide con el mensaje que vos estás transmitiendo, y bueno, creo que nos queda un enorme trabajo por hacer. Y bueno, hay que, como dice Rob, hay que involucrarse, hay que estar, hay que aprender, conocer y animarse un poco a comunicar. No hay más preguntas, así que... ¿Una más? Okay.
I just want to make a comment about that.
Okay.
Alicia and the science community want to communicate science to share the GMO or the agrochemical message. But I think Pedro today, your vice president of Aapresid, did a really good thing on camera. Pedro said, I have a son. My son is 11 years old, and that picture is of my son in a field of GMO soybeans that was sprayed with glyphosate, and I'm happy he's in that field. Those are the images that the city people need to have.
La pregunta se refiere a nivel global. ¿Está recibiendo de apoyo de algún gobierno o ONGs para difundir el mensaje?
Only one. The government of Saskatchewan, Canada, donated $50,000 to the movie, $25,000 to the making of the movie, and $25,000 to the development of segments of the movie for ag in the classroom. So the Saskatchewan government of Canada is the only government that has put in any cash towards my movie.
Bueno, no habiendo más preguntas, nuevamente agradecerte, Rob, por estar acá, por lo que estás haciendo. Y bueno, vamos a seguir trabajando.
Les agradecemos entonces a Rob Sack y a Javier Amuchastegui por esta presentación, por esta